Good evening. It is Monday, November 1st, 2021. Happy November to all of you out there. Well. You know what's funny? It's really funny. For a game that was supposed to be a bloodbath, for a game that's supposed to be a slaughter, butt kicking, how bad are the Jets going to lose? Part of me thought about something. Usually, crummy Jets teams tend to show up against powerhouse teams. And I thought about years past where that has happened, where they seemed overmatched on paper, but they somehow surprise you. You think about there was a game against the Titans back in '03 on Monday Night Football. You know, the Jets somehow got away with that with a win. I remember 2007, the Jets had lost 7 or 8 in a row or something like that. To the Steelers, who were 8-2, and the Jets won that game in overtime. There was last year, the Jets in successive weeks going to LA to stun them to get their first win of the year in Week 15, and then beating Cleveland the following week in both absolute stunners. Which of course brings us to yesterday, and may I say this: even with the Jets down 31-20 in the fourth quarter, I sat there and I said, they've been the better team. And quite frankly, a lot of Cincinnati points were converted off of Jet mistakes. But now, if you think about it, the Jets controlled time. They, and this guy Mike White, everyone's we're going to slaughter a backup quarterback. Barely ever sees the field, barely ever think. They signed Joe Flacco. They did all this, did all that. But Mike White, you know what he was? First of all, the Jets, they had how many firsts yesterday? Their first points of the first quarter of a game, they got an interception. How about that? You're like, wow, what is going on here? But Mike White played with poise, played with discipline, didn't always go for the coup de grace, didn't always have to go for the home run bomb, didn't always have to do that. He played with poise. He marched him downfield, he checked it down when he had to. He went the intermediate route. He didn't always go the home run. He managed the drives. He managed it well for the most part. 405 yards on a defense like Cincinnati. The Cincinnati Bengals, a week removed from slaughtering the almighty Baltimore Ravens. 28 consecutive points. Now, I don't know if they've overlooked the Jets. I don't know if, they were thinking ahead to Cleveland. I don't know. But the Jets simply put, I know 34-31 in a game they trailed by 11 with 7 minutes to go in the game. The Jets were effectively moving the ball. Unfortunately, they turned the ball over 3 times, twice in the first quarter. The first time they made it work. They got a turnover on downs. They stopped them at the goal line. But my goodness, Cincinnati Joe Burrow had a modest 259 yards passing. And it's not to take. And, on top of that, unlike the Tennessee game, the Tennessee who had Julio Jones and A.J. Brown out, Cincinnati came full power. They had their weapons. And mind you, the Jets, we didn't have Zach Wilson. We didn't have Corey Davis. We were down a few people, and look what happened. Everybody showed up there. And Mike White, he spread the ball around. Ty Johnson got involved. Michael Carter, best game of them all. He spread it around. Even Denzel Mims was involved. Elijah Moore. Braxton Berrios had that touchdown late in the first half. So, they just... It just all around. Keelan Cole, don't forget about him. Everyone got involved. And it was great to see. For a team that's a young team, to see them all get involved. The only thing that left much to be desired yesterday was the secondary. Outside of that, the front seven was phenomenal. They played fantastic. If that's an inspiring win, especially, it's a short week going into the Colts this week out in Indianapolis, but this was arguably the best game they've played all year. Cincinnati. The top team in the AFC coming into yesterday. But man, That's like the more you see it, you're more like, what the heck? You know? Sometimes the Jets come up with these things. But they were, I mean, clearly they were the better team. They played hard. They played very hard. And also what you notice about the Jets is even when they were down 31-20, with under 10 minutes to go in the game, the Jets had gotten within 24-20. I mean, let's face it, they probably should have gotten in the end zone, after, when they were right down at the, what was it, the 2-yard line or something like that. Mixon had just given the Bengals the lead 24-17. And, we marched right back down at the 2-yard line. Couldn't get there in twice, and then White getting sacked. So I had no choice but to kick the field goal. And then after Cincinnati, who was it at that point they were 1 for 6 on third down the entire game, and then they converted on like 4 third downs. Like you're sitting there and you're like, here comes the fourth quarter defense of the Jets again that they've done numerously over the years. That they've done, when they need to get a stop and get off the field, they don't. The Atlanta game was, a big one. The Falcons, they couldn't get off the field after kind of, that's the Jets luring you in thinking they'll go and win the game. And then, they don't. This is another, watch out game, like, great, they're going to mess this up. They're going to get our hopes back in a game that they've played that they have played well. And then they're going to give it away because the fourth quarter, like Adam Gase's teams would have thrown in the towel. But these guys, they play hard. They play really, really hard. So yes, 31-20, and then they drove the ball downfield again. They just destroyed the Bengals defense. They destroyed them. So they get the touchdown, and then it's 31-26. Keelan Cole couldn't haul in the 2-point, but Shaq Lawson. It's always so beautiful when a defensive lineman can make an interception, and of all the times, the Jets, no interceptions all year, and then of all the points, I mean, it was glorious, and it's like you've been pounding these guys all game long, get it done, And, I mean, Tyler Kroft, was so wide open in the end zone. I mean, it was great. And then, of course, the Philly special to cap off the drive, making it 34-31. And then the front seven, came out to play. They came out to play, and then, they stopped Burrow. They get it back. Now, the big thing they're talking about is obviously the helmet controversy that happened, involving Ty Johnson and Mike Hilton. That's the guy in Cincinnati. It's a very ticky-tack call. First of all, at that point, I'm like wondering to myself, why are the Jets not running the football? Despite it all, despite everything, that had happened. I mean, I know, granted, it should have never come to that. You're saying to yourself, why are the Jets not running the football? Why are they throwing when they're supposed to be running the clock down? And that could have been costly. That penalty saved them. Because who knows what's going to happen if you give Joe Burrow the ball back. He's dangerous. With all the team that's around him, Tyler Boyd, that Higgins guy who had a big game. Who else was there? Joe Mixon, of course. Can't forget him. I forget who the tight end is, but they're a dangerous team. They're a tough team, dangerous team. And you never know. I mean, lucky us, Cincinnati never got the ball back, and we were able to bleed the clock down. But again, this was a game that the Jets deserved. They deserved this win. It would have been such a bummer, the young a team as the Jets are, to win a game that, let's face it, they earned. They earned it. On full merit, they earned it. And many people can say that, who day. Yeah, thanks for coming. Yesterday may have been Halloween, but then again, in Cincinnati, with those uniforms, every week is Halloween. But yeah, like, So you gotta be happy. That's a sign of progress. This again, Mike White. I mean, Zachy, you better be taking notes, man. You better be taking notes because if he continues to play the game like he had yesterday, and it continues, hey, Zachy, you might be sitting the season on the bench. The rest of the way. You know, Mr. White did all the things that you're supposed to do, but you're not doing. You know, so. But what an impressive performance! Like I said, the offense. I mean that's the offense we've been wanting to see. You know, and having another backup quarterback who nobody has heard of. So, and it's like, the Bengals got a punch in the mouth yesterday. A thing back to reality for them. That's what happened. I mean, but the Jets, I mean, sometimes you respond when there's, a change in personnel, but they responded in a big way to this Mike White guy. And everyone loved it. They were chanting his name and everything, Bet you he'll be on the field on Thursday. So, yeah, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. But if he makes a sign when Zach comes back in a couple of weeks, Zach's job may be in trouble if this guy continues to fly. Let's not get giddy. I mean, it's 1 week, but still, he's gonna make a case. If this is the case, if this is how this plays out, like what happened yesterday, he's gonna make a case to take that starting job, kiddo. But anyway, that being said, I'm gonna kill it off on here from now. The Jets are 2-5. Indianapolis on Thursday. They're coming off a loss themselves in overtime to Tennessee. So, we'll see what happens there. Carson Wentz, we're coming for you. Anyway, Jets. Thursday night, let's go. Let's get it done. I'll be at work, so I have to DVR the game. That being said, this is